Join us this week as we descend into the darker side of human nature and uncover the shadows that dwell in the unknown. From chilling true crime and gruesome murders to spine-tingling paranormal encounters that defy explanation, we're peeling back the curtain on things that go bump in the night. So grab a flashlight and maybe a blanket, because you're listening to The Guilty and the Ghostly.
Take 4. Is it 4 this time?
This would be 4.
So recorded once. Me, messed up the audio. We recorded it a second time, and when we tried to upload it, we were over 24 hours, and it made 0% progress. So I IM'd the platform that we use to record it, and they're like, oh, it's recording, you just got to give it time. And I'm thinking, it's made 0% in 24 hours. There is no giving it time. Like, we are not, this is not it. Then we started recording again, but we kind of ran out of time, some other issues, and so we're like, you know what, we'll just do it tonight. So here we are. Again.
At 9:30.
At 9:40.
9:40. I stand corrected.
We've been on vacation. This is just kind of what of a way to come back. I think it's punishment for us.
Well, you know, we didn't have any problems on our vacation, so it would only make sense.
That is true.
Because every other vacation we've had was like National Lampoon vacation.
Exactly. Well, one of these days we'll have to tell you guys about our Corpus Christi trip and what all went wrong.
It was terrible.
And
we had a great time, but it was very rough getting there.
It was literally like Chevy Chase vacation to get there. Anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong. And then I took the kids by myself to Corpus Christi, and truck broke down. Of course, Josh wasn't with me. Just one of those things where if it can go wrong, it's gonna go wrong with us. But we had a good vacation. We went and sightseeing.
I don't know. Sightseed doesn't sound.
That's not right. Well, obviously we're tired. We went and checked out Alabama, different spots in Alabama. We went to Mobile, Alabama.
Sights.
See, we went and seen the sights?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, we went and seen the sights of Alabama. We went to Mobile, Alabama, Prattville, Alabama, took the kids to the beach.
Just so you know, she just recently found out how to say Mobile.
He's lying. He's lying.
Took 4 takes, but she finally got it right.
Anyways, the kids got to they had some big crabs there, and then Jackson caught a little baby crab that he was feeding chicken, and Josh seen a stingray.
A little bitty stingray. He wasn't very big.
Wasn't very big. And then me and the kids got stung by, we're guessing jellyfish. We never seen them. We just felt it, and it hurt. Josh didn't get stung.
No, I didn't get stung.
It's because he's hairy like Bigfoot. They couldn't penetrate the...
Probably so.
The fuzz.
It's a very good possibility.
Yeah. We didn't get sunburnt too bad, just the tops of our heads.
My head got so burnt.
I was brushing my hair earlier to take May to practice, and so gross. I could see the skin flakes in my hair. And like it's just so bad right now. But other than that, it was good. The kids had fun. We enjoyed our week off, and well, I had a partial week off. I had some business meetings I had to go to for a couple of days, but it wasn't too bad. They fed us good food.
Mm-hmm. We had a good time.
Gave some good drinks.
Kids and I got a chance to do some sports, I guess, for the weekend. Did a little swimming.
Yay, sports.
A little hot tubbing and some tennis.
Yeah, we found out we're not great at tennis.
Not good at tennis at all.
We have fun.
Had a great time.
We're not going to be going to any tennis tournaments here soon.
I think we owe that place like 8 tennis balls.
Yeah, but we talked about that. You guys found like 20 in the woods when you went to go find them. So really,
we weren't the only ones that lost balls.
We came out ahead. And you guys found a basketball.
We did find a basketball.
So, did him a favor.
In the bushes.
Yeah, we did it a favor. Other than that, I think that's about it. I don't really have any business to do or any updates. I don't really have any recommendations. We haven't started any new shows or anything. I've just been reading my books. Been reading House of Night, which I read years ago when they first came out. I read the House of Night series, but then I was waiting for the new books to come out, and then it was so long before I read it. that I just kind of fell off. So I'm rereading the ones that I read, and then I'm going to read the ones that have come since then that I haven't got to read. So it's about all I've been doing.
It's more than me.
So we do have a long story today. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. It is the Barney and Betty Hill abduction story. You gotta act like you've never heard this before.
Well, it's the OG.
You could probably
story,
tell
so-
it by now.
I mean, I almost could. At this point, we've reiterated this so many times now that it's to the point where it's almost monotonous.
But we're doing it for you guys. We tried really hard to save that last recording because it was like the best one yet. And
The second one was perfect.
we were so excited. We're like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to release this. And then it wouldn't upload. And I was just like, yeah, go freaking figure.
Go figure.
But here we are. So
you actually got to see a lot of my personality in that particular episode.
Are you gonna keep it up this time?
I'm gonna try. I'm tired.
So far, you're doing better than the last time we recorded.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't feeling very good.
Yeah.
So I blame it on that.
Okay, we'll let that one slide. So we're going to talk about Barney and Betty Hill. They were an American couple who famously claimed to have been abducted in 1961. Their story became the first widely publicized alien abduction account in the United States, and it has become one of the most well-known cases in UFO lore. Which they're not called UFOs anymore. They're called
UAP.
UAP. I'm saying UFO. That's what I grew up with. That's what I associate with it. So I know it's not UFO anymore. I guess they have kind of a bad stigma towards them. That's one reason why they've changed the.
I really don't know. I think maybe they've added a few different things to it. So instead of it being a UFO, it's a UAP, which basically means the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But you know how our government is. They like to do things like that, so.
Well, we're going to call it UFO.
That's fine.
Okay. Barney Hill, there wasn't a whole lot on his earlier life. So I have a very brief kind of touch on his. He was an African American man born in July of 1922 in Newport News, Virginia. He was the youngest of his 4 siblings. He would later drop out of high school and he worked as a store clerk. That's a weird word too, clerk.
Store clerk.
Clerk. He worked as a store clerk. He later joined the military, serving in World War II as a truck driver for about 3 years, until he was discharged after a grenade incident.
I wonder what they mean by grenade incident.
I don't know, because that could be like a wide range of things. Like, did a truck get blown up? Did
they have a training accident? Somebody threw the pin instead of the grenade?
Yeah, like what?
Who
what
knows?
is a grenade incident? One can only wonder. While serving in the military, he met his first wife, Ruby, and they had 2 sons. He served as a committee man on his son's Boy Scout troop, and then after serving in the military, he would later become a mail carrier after he got out. Betty Barrett, which would later become Betty Hill, was born on June 28th, 1919, Newton, New Hampshire. She attended college at the University of New Hampshire. She became very good friends with Mary Ann Franklin, who was the only Black student on the campus at the time. She would soon see I trip over this word every single time.
Inequality.
Every single time I've said that wrong. She would soon see the inequality of the time with racism. She quickly took part in advocating for equal rights, and then during her sophomore year, she contracted an extreme abdominal infection, which I never did see what the abdominal infection was, but I guess it was pretty bad.
That's interesting.
It was bad enough that she could not return her junior year of college, so she just started waiting tables at a local restaurant, and she would meet her first husband, Bob.
She had that E. coli from the restaurant, probably.
Bob had 3 kids from previous marriage, who Betty adopted and raised as her own. After 14 years of marriage, Betty found out that Bob had been cheating on her with multiple women, and they ended up divorcing, which we've been married, I guess this year will be 16 years. Go ahead, see what happens.
16 excruciating years.
Excuse you. When they did get divorced, she actually got a little bit of money out of it. She decided to buy herself a house, start over. She found this perfect little house that she fell in love with, so she bought it. But shortly after that, a representative of the Gulf Oil Company approached her and they wanted to buy the house. At first, she didn't really want to, but she was able to negotiate with them, and they agreed to pay her more than double what they originally offered. So she's like, that's a good chunk of change. I might as well go for it. So she did. But then she was upset because she's seen herself growing with that house. I mean, she's seen her home, she's seen her new life in it, and she just couldn't let it go. So she decided to reach back out to the oil company and see what were they going to do with it. They're like, we're just going to tear it down. And she said, well, what if I give you $1 and then I keep the house, you guys keep the land, and I'll just move the house elsewhere? They said, deal. So they let her buy the house back for $1. So
I bet it was a huge feat to move just a house.
Just a house, yeah.
To what it is now with the technology we've got. It would have took a huge pile of people to
move it.
To move that, I would think.
But still, girl made double on it, and then she only $1. So for her, she's like,
yeah, she made out like a bandit.
Yeah. And when they were moving the house to the new location, that is actually when she would meet Barney in the boarding house she was staying in. So Barney was on vacation with his wife and children. Betty and Barney's family, they would actually all became really good friends, and she kept in touch with them over the years. But Barney and his wife Ruby ended up separating in 1957. Barney would confide in Betty, and soon their friendship would turn romantic. At first, Betty and Barney's relationship was long distance, which we've done.
It's difficult.
It's no fun. You lived
431 miles.
He had it down pat, guys. He'd come see me about once a month.
And that was before I knew the fast route, so every time I came down, it took me almost 10 hours to get here.
I know.
And then when I finally figured it out, I reduced it by 2.
Yeah, it's appreciated. Look where it got you.
Yeah. It got me stuck.
Shut up. So, in the summer of 1957, Betty would actually re-enroll at UNH, and she took on an internship at the Layton Farm School. It was a home for delinquent girls, but this meant that she would be able to move closer to Barney so that they could be together in person. But once the internship ended, she had to go back to where she was at, and Barney didn't want to give it up. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to move with you. So he moved closer to where she was, and with him being a postal worker, he was able to transfer to Boston, so he had a job lined up immediately.
Shout out to our postal workers.
That's right. And with the new position, he did end up with a less than desirable shift that was opposite of what Betty's schedule was. So even though they were now living together, they still didn't get a whole lot of time together.
Yeah, we're very familiar with that.
Yes, we've done that many times. Josh used to work out of town a lot. He's worked nights before. We've done about all of it, man.
Swinging shifts.
Oh.
That was the worst.
Not where I thought you were going with that. I was going to say, we have not done that, sir.
We're not that upside down pineapple people.
So the couple ended up getting married in May of 1960. Again, their work schedules, they never got to take a honeymoon. Well, 16 months later, Barney was able to take time off of work, and he wanted to surprise Betty with a honeymoon. So he came home on September 15th, and he said, hey, we're going to go to Niagara Falls and then go see Montreal. Pack your bags. Let's go.
Maybe we should do our honeymoon finally and follow that same path.
I don't want to get abducted. I ain't trying to do all that. Are you crazy? Especially after hearing this.
Yeah, it's a pretty
you.
Crazy story. But it would be cool to see those things.
Yeah, I do want to go see Niagara Falls, and it'd be cool to go see Canada.
And yeah, Canada would be really cool to go see.
Would you have to go see the Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we'd have to go check that out for sure. Those of you that haven't seen that, it is hilarious.
He's watched the show
at least 5 times.
It's ridiculous.
All the way through.
I've only seen like 3 episodes.
It's hilarious. But I'll tell you, there's a I think my favorite one is Letterkenny.
Oh yeah, I've only seen one or two of those.
I think it's just slightly better. It's just hilarious. And Trailer Park Boys is actually coming out with the next season.
Yeah, I just seen that.
So that's cool. I can't wait to see that. But I think it'd be cool to go see that stuff. There's also a plaque on the side of the road that kind of tells you what happened in that specific spot as well.
With Betty and Barney.
With Betty and Barney Hill.
I
So
got
that
you.
would be pretty interesting to go and look at. As you are well aware, they're not very interesting.
So when we were younger, before we had kids, Josh would run hot shots for the oil field. And I think actually I may have been pregnant. I think I was like newly pregnant.
You might have been. I don't remember.
And we didn't have kids.
You rode with me a lot back then.
Yeah, we didn't have kids, and if I didn't have to work or whatever, I would go run the hot shot with them. Well, I kept seeing these historical markers on the side of the road, like historical markers so many miles ahead, and I'm thinking, that is so cool. I really, really want to go see this historical marker. I'm thinking it's going to be, I don't even know what.
I think you were expecting like a whole entire museum.
Maybe I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting something really freaking cool though. And Josh was like, okay, sure, whatever. And so the next historical marker, he goes, hey, there's one right there. Let's go. And I was like, okay, awesome. So I'm like excited. We're driving down the road. I'm like, look at it. I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this is. And then he pulls up and it's a freaking sign on the side of the road. And I was like, that's it? And he goes, yeah, what do you want? And I was like, oh, that's kind of sad.
You were so excited too. It was almost heartbreaking watching you see what it was. And
yeah, so that's when I learned that historical markers are just signs on the side of the road. Very disappointing. Well, they decided to go visit Niagara Falls, go sightsee in Montreal. They took their little dog with them. And on September 19th, 1961, 41-year-old Betty and 39-year-old Barney are driving home from their honeymoon. At about 10:30 p.m., they were almost to Indian Head, New Hampshire, and suddenly Betty sees a bright light in the sky as they are driving. Thinking it was a shooting star, she pointed it out to Barney. But they soon realized that this shooting star had stopped moving. It was just sitting there in the sky, which you have seen something.
Yeah, it was very similar to a shooting star. I was young, real young, 16, 17 maybe. I was sitting in my front yard on the tailgate of my car, the trunk of my car.
You are definitely Oklahoma. If you've
tired.
got a car with a tailgate.
Hey, you never know. I might have had an El Camino, but I didn't.
You weren't that cool.
I wasn't that cool. But I was sitting on the trunk of the car, and I had the old cordless telephone. And it was about as far as you could reach. That way I could get a little privacy from the parents. I believe I was talking to an ex-girlfriend at the time.
An ex-girlfriend, huh?
Yeah. You know, there were other women before you.
Excuse me?
It happens.
This is bullshit.
You can't say anything. You had other guys before me
No.
as well. Oh, whatever. But anyway, I'm sitting on the trunk of the car, and all of a sudden I see this light that realistically looked like a shooting star going across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I didn't think anything of it, and then I heard these helicopters, and 3 black helicopters started going in the direction that light went. I was a little intrigued. I was watching them. And
Were
then
you
all of a
sober?
sudden, oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. So they go across the sky, and about the time they get to the horizon where that light disappeared, the light shot back in the other direction. Now I'm freaking out. What the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm looking, and all of a sudden those helicopters turn around and follow it in the other direction. Now I'm really freaking out. This happens 4 or 5 times total. And finally they disappear, and they're gone forever.
So you think.
Which to me was very strange.
Yeah.
But where we lived back then, there was also an old Air Force base there too. So it's possible that it could have been early drone technology, but could have been aliens.
Could have been aliens. That's what you get for talking to a girl on the phone.
I guess
That wasn't
so.
me. Well, they've seen it was just hovering in the sky. The thing was very large. It looked almost to be cigar-shaped when it was kind of further off. It began moving slowly, and then it shot upwards. They decided to pull over, get a better look at the object, and while standing outside and looking at it, they began to wonder, how is it still just hovering motionless? Like it would move and then it would just sit there motionless. At this time, it was completely silent, not making any sound, and Barney remembered he had a pair of binoculars in the car from their honeymoon. So he grabs binoculars, and he's looking, and Betty would later recall that Barney could see a row of windows with men looking down at them. That would be scary. To see some kind of odd object that you have no idea what it is, and you look up at the windows and there's people or things staring back at you.
Humanoid creatures.
No, thank you. Gots to go.
It's like nightmare fuel.
Yeah. The figures began walking away one by one, and then the ship started moving closer to the couple. That's when I would just start shitting my pants right there.
You probably would pass straight out.
Painting goat, just with the object moving closer to them, they decided to get back in the car and go. They wanted to put space between them and the object. They start driving down the road and still watching it as it's heading towards them. By this point, it is moving in an erratic pattern. Barney didn't want to scare Betty, so he tried to remain as calm as possible. Which I get that too, because even you and I, like, we feed off of each other. So, like, if I look at you and you're calm, then I'm calm. We're good. Or vice versa. Like, we definitely feed off of each other. So we're both freaking out.
We're codependent, y'all.
We're very codependent. Like I said, we've been married for almost 16 years. We've been together for
almost 20.
Almost 20. We don't know how to live without each other. So Barney didn't want to scare her. He's trying to remain calm. The road was very narrow and unfamiliar to them. Barney thought about possibly trying to get to an area of people, but then decided it was best just to keep driving and try to get home. Which, again, I can see that. Like, if you're just driving around, oh, we need to find people, but you're in the middle of nowhere at night in the 60s, what's going to be open?
Absolutely nothing, probably then.
Yeah.
They didn't have 24-hour Walmarts.
Do we now, since COVID?
I think they shut that down.
Yeah, I think they closed.
Matter of fact, I seen something on Facebook today where somebody had like a deal or a meme or something where they were like, bring back 24-hour Walmarts, COVID's over.
That's funny. Well, they drove for about half an hour and were approaching a curve near Indian Head. It's just like a great big landmark in the area. Once they were around the curve, it was an open area, and they noticed that the object was just hovering about 100 feet above them and right in front of them. Not expecting to see it there, Barney was startled and he slammed on his brakes. They came to a complete stop, and then Barney grabbed a .22 revolver that they had with them and his binoculars. As he approached the object, it started to tilt forward. Almost, to me, that's almost like they're watching. They want to get a better view, so it's sitting like this, and it starts tilting forward as he's walking towards them.
The whole experience is creepy.
Yeah. That is when wings with red lights blinking on them open from the side of the craft. He was completely terrified and then ran back to the car and told Betty, we need to get out of here. At this point, they're racing down the highway, and this thing is still following them. That's when the Hills started to hear a rhythmic humming sound, and then they started feeling vibrations going through their entire body. It almost felt like a tingling sensation. I would think the way they described it, almost like when your foot goes to sleep and it's starting to wake up and it gets up. I wonder if that's how it felt.
Maybe the aliens were bumping. They had some good tunes.
That's funny. Details at this point are a little fuzzy. They do recall like a type of roadblock with a giant burning orb in the middle of the road. They then come to and feel like they need to be around other people. Like they shouldn't be alone. They need to find other people. They drove around looking for a place to be open, and of course, they couldn't find anything. They finally decide, let's just go home. Based on when they left Montreal and how long they had been driving, they thought they should arrive home about 3 a.m. However, when they did get home, the sun is starting to rise, meaning there's hours missing that they have no recollection of happening. Betty had kept a diary, and she had actually written what'd she write? She wrote an entry, I guess, right? She wrote an entry?
I don't remember.
Well, I mean, like, that's the word I'm looking for, right? It's like an entry into the diary.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so she had an entry that morning that said, and we are obviously tired.
You're very tired.
We entered our home, turned on all the lights, and went over to the window and looked skyward. Which, again, I would probably do the same. After having this creepy experience, I don't want to sit in the dark. All those lights are going to be on.
I mean, at that point, you're wondering, did they follow me home?
Yeah, or at that point, I think they're even wondering, like, did that really happen? What happened?
They're probably in such shock at that point in time that
Yeah,
I can
nothing's
imagine,
real.
and I can imagine that your brain would shut down and you would lose a lot of that time
Yeah,
just from the simple fact of the trauma that you experienced.
yeah. Well, they were worried about their luggage possibly containing radiation. Everything they took with them or that was in the car with them, they set on the front porch. They didn't want it in their house. They also noticed that the strap to the binoculars was torn. Barney's dress shoes were all scratched up, and Betty's dress had a big tear in it. They sat down at the table, looking at each other, and asked, "Do you believe what just happened?" Which, again, that's probably the first time that they kind of... I wonder if they were just dead silent the whole way home when they were looking for a way home.
Yeah.
Just not say a word. And the very first thing they say to each other is like, did that just happen?
You would think that it was like a fever dream almost.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you don't want to admit that you've seen something, but you obviously seen something, and what happened? They both agreed that something happened, even though it's unbelievable. By this time, they're both just so worn out and confused, they decide to try to get some sleep and just see how they feel when they wake up. Once they woke up, they both still could not shake the feeling of what happened. They then decided to split up. One goes to one room, the other goes to the other one, and let's draw what we saw and then compare to see what they look like. Once they finish their drawings, they look at them together, and they were very similar, which I've already showed you a picture, but just as a reminder, I'm going to show you, and I'll post it on YouTube too, of what they drew.
Yeah, and we talked about it. It almost looks like a hamburger the way she drew it.
Yeah, and I just realized this. Before the wings go out, the lights are sitting right there, and then the wings come out, and the lights are out on it.
And that's odd, because a lot of the time you don't see or hear of UFOs with wings.
Yeah. It's just that flat saucer, basically.
Yeah, normally, but then again, a lot of people just see that. They don't actually have that particular experience.
Right.
And it almost looks like that real monster guy on the second part.
I love that guy. That was the best cartoon.
It was a good cartoon.
That's probably one of the creepy cartoons that I first started watching when I was younger. Then Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark and all the good ones.
What was that one with the dog?
Wishbone?
No.
Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That was
a really
my
good one too.
jam. That was my jam.
Yeah.
Okay, so the drawings were very similar. They decided that they had in fact seen something, even though they didn't know what it was. They seen something. Barney knew that Barney was having trouble coming to terms with exactly what it was. He told Betty that they needed to protect their livelihoods and their reputation. They both were very active in advocacy work, and he didn't want the experience to affect that. He told her, "We really just need to keep this to ourselves." Betty disagreed because she was in awe of what happened, but she did respect Barney's wishes, which, again, he's a black male in the 1960s married to a white female. That alone is already hard enough. And then if you go around telling everybody, "I seen a UFO," it's not going to go well. But Betty did ask if it would be okay if she told her sister.
We both know that if something happened to us, you'd be telling your sister, you'd tell Tamara. You would not keep that to yourself.
Look, I've got a small circle, but my circle that I've got is tight. Okay. So Betty called Janet and she told her everything she could remember, which I didn't include it in here, but I did see where I'm not sure if it was Janet or if it was somebody else in Betty's family, but somebody in Betty's family had also seen a UFO or UFOs before, and so I guess they were kind of, I'm not going to say familiar with it, but at least
There were
it
stories.
had been talked about.
Yeah, there were stories at the Sunday dinner table.
Right. Well, Janet told her, hang tight, I'm going to call you right back. She knew that her neighbor was a physicist, and so she's like, I'm going to go to him and ask him for pointers on what they should do. So she went over there to talk to her neighbor, and it just so happens that he had a few guests over, and one of them being a former police chief. He told them this is not crazy and that all UFO sightings should be reported. So I guess there had been other sightings, just not like publicly made aware of, or they hadn't like released it out to the public, but they were seeing things and reporting them to the Peace, what was it called, Air Force Base.
And we talked about this the last couple of times, but I imagine there probably were other stories that people had heard about, and it just wasn't nearly as publicized as this one becomes.
Yeah. And back then, everything was pushed under the rug, like shoved under the rug. We don't talk about that.
That was back in the mental institution days, too. So yeah. I'm sure a lot of those folks ended up in mental institutions, and some of them might have been justified.
Yeah. But some of them were
probably real.
Especially if you were a woman.
Yeah.
She's got her period, she's acting crazy.
They used to do some crazy things like that.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to...
We'll have to dive into something like that at some point, too.
Well, the physicist also told Janet to have her sister take a compass out to the car and note if anything happens. Janet calls Betty back. She relays all this information to her. Barney said, I'm not doing that with the compass. You're on your own. Like, nope.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point he's freaked out.
Yeah, and he's wanting to just put it behind him. Like, it happened. We saw something. Great. We're not talking about this. So Betty takes a compass and she starts walking around the car. Nothing happens until she gets to the trunk of the car. That's when she notices a bunch of shiny circular shapes all over the trunk of the car that were not there before. She then puts the compass down on the circles, and the compass would just start spinning in circles. That would be freaky.
That's crazy. And we talked about this already as well, that. How does that happen?
Yeah. What caused those circles? I think I mentioned like sound waves or like some kind of...
Yeah, something. And it could have been sound waves. And there's a lot of theories with sound waves being able to move things and lift things, and people have even speculated that the pyramids were built with sound waves. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I'm not an astrophysicist or whatever it takes to know any of that stuff, but...
Well, this really freaked Betty out. She was just standing there in the rain, watching it happen, and she just kept telling herself, don't scream, don't freak out, it's gonna be okay. I don't think I could be that calm.
No, you would have said a whole lot of expletives.
And then I would have drug you out there. So I don't care if you want to look or not. We're looking. So a few days later, Betty and Barney decide, okay, we need to call and report our experience to the Peace Air Force Base. But let's go ahead and leave out seeing the men in the windows. Like, we're okay with looking a little crazy, but I don't want to look completely crazy. So Major Paul Henderson took down all their reports and would later submit their claims to the Project Blue Book, minus the little men that they seen. Project Blue Book was a U.S. Air Force program that investigated reports of UFOs from 1952 to 1969.
We'll have to talk about that, too, because there's a lot of information about Project Blue Book as well.
Yeah, this is the first time... Well, I probably have heard it before, but this is the first time that I guess... recognized it. So yeah, I definitely want to look at it. It was the third most well-known of a series of systematic studies on UFOs conducted by the military. Major Henderson's report included all the details and along with information about what happened after they returned home. He noted that Barney had said that he did not originally intend on reporting the incident. Barney said looking back at the entire thing is incredible and he feels somewhat foolish. Which, again, just kind of the sign of the times. He's already a minority, and he just kind of wants to fly under the radar. Like, he's doing all this good stuff and working with, advocacy work and everything, so he doesn't want that to overshadow everything that he's done and then be like, oh, well, what he's done is not important because he's seen a UFO. He cannot believe that something could happen or did happen. And then in 1961, Barney was the local chairman of the local NAACP. He was a strong civil rights activist who would work tirelessly. He was also a founding board member of the Rockingham Community Action Program. They provided social and financial support for those in need. It's still a very active organization today, which I thought that was kind of cool. So while he was busy making all these moves of bettering the community, again, he is a black man married to a white woman. It's not largely accepted. He really didn't want the publicity of the UFO to reflect negatively on all the work that both him and Betty have done and were so passionate about. Now that he felt like they did what they were supposed to do and they reported the incident to the proper authority, he just wants to put it behind him. Let it go. I'm done. But Betty felt a little different, which I didn't include it in this, but I did see somewhere when Betty was younger, she was known to be more of a daydreamer and like a very curious kid. I even seen one part where when she was in high school or just graduated high school, she wanted to join the circus and be an acrobat. And like she was making moves to do that, and her parents were like, "You're not doing that. You're not doing that." So she's always kind of like went for it. She's always been one of those just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
She really wanted to understand what happened and hopefully find answers. Betty began an investigation of her own. She started researching at her local library and she checked out a book called Flying Saucers Are Real. The book was written by a retired Marine Corps major named Donald Kehoe. He was also the director of the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. The book was based on the belief that UFOs have been visiting for centuries, but there has been an increased activity due to the progress humanity has made on nuclear technology. So,
well, that would make sense.
Yeah. It also stated that it is believed that the United States government knew about this and have been trying to keep this information hidden from the general public, which, what do you know? In recent years, the U.S. government has been releasing.
There's a lot of stuff that's came out here recently.
Yeah.
And there's specific people that have come out on multiple platforms talking about their experiences, like Commander David Fravor with the Air Force. He was, I believe, an F-16 pilot. Him and a couple of other people were flying, and they were the ones that recorded the Tic Tac video. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Tic Tac video.
Oh, yeah. I think if you haven't, you've been living under a rock.
Oh, yeah, and it's some of the most compelling evidence I've ever seen.
Yeah.
From what I've looked at, and countless interviews on that, there's no evidence of propulsion, which normally there'd be like a heat signature or something like that from like the propulsion system of the whatever it was.
Yeah.
And at one point, it had gotten close to them, and then they were going to rally at a different location. Well, as soon as they decided where they were going, the Tic Tac disappeared and immediately appeared at that location.
Yeah.
I don't know if I included that the last time we talked, but that blew my mind.
Yeah. And you can hear, and again, these are military personnel. I'm not saying that they're higher than anybody else, but like they're more of a black and white person. Like there's not a whole, normally there's not a whole lot of gray, and they have so much to lose to come out and say, I saw something. And a lot of times they're shunned or kicked out or kicked to the side. And so for them to come out and say, I saw this, it just adds credibility, I guess, to it.
It totally does. And the crazy part about it is they've shoved so much of that stuff under the rug over so many years.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're telling us about it?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Why is that happening?
It's crazy. Well, Betty was intrigued by the book, and she thought it makes perfect sense. So Betty begins to have scary nightmares during the night, and then during the day she would have like little flashbacks coming to her that she did not originally remember from that night. But then she was like kind of questioning herself, like, are these actual flashbacks or am I just having like nightmares during the day? Like, she wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, with a traumatic situation like that, there's not really. It would be hard to trust your own visions at that point, especially with something that crazy.
That crazy, yeah, yeah. And even people with PTSD or that go through traumatic events that happens, their brain protects them and shuts it off, and then it just kind of comes out in little pieces.
Little bits and pieces of information. Yeah. I'm assuming that's just your brain trying to protect whatever.
Protect yourself from yourself, basically.
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, they were very vivid, but she wasn't sure, if they're truly flashbacks, maybe they're dreams. She said that they were so strange that at first she didn't tell anyone about them. Finally, Betty decided to reach out to NICAP in October of 1961, which is that one that I said earlier. I can't remember what it was now. In the letter, she explained everything that happened and what she was going through. She asked them to look at everything. A few weeks later, she received a letter, and it said that she would be contacted by a gentleman named Walter Webb, who was a Boston astronomer. Webb contacted them, and he recorded their experiences. He put it together into a report and called it a dramatic UFO encounter in the White Hills of New Hampshire. The account was the same as it was when it was written up for Project Blue Book. However, this time, Barney did allow the description of the men peering through the window. So their account did not change from the time that they told it there to from the time that they told it for Project Blue Book, except for adding the little blue men, or the little creepy men in the window. The entire encounter really freaks the Hills out, but the missing lapse of time is what really shook them to their core. The story was then sent to Robert Hallam, who was a former interrogator of the U.S. Army. What caught his eye was also the missing lapse of time. He was talking to his friend, Jim McDonald, about the Hills. McDonald was a former member of the U.S. military and the CIA. He ended up recommending hypnosis to help recover the lost memories, which I believe they used as a tactic in the CIA and in the military to interrogate enemies or whatever, prisoners, to try to get more information.
And the men who stare at goats.
Yeah. Well, the Hills, NICAP members, and the former military members dove deep into trying to piece everything together. They even revisited the area where everything happened. About a year after that night, Barney's health started to decline. He ended up experiencing extreme headaches, and doctors could not determine a reason for the headaches. Eventually, the doctors began to wonder if the symptoms were more psychological, and they referred him to Dr. Benjamin Simon.
We talked about that, how the traumatic events in his life, throughout his life, may have caused that decline.
Yeah, going through World War II, having whatever the grenade incident was, whether his buddy's missing a few fingers or were they hit with something, or
who knows? I mean, yeah, and it could have been more than just a few fingers. It could have been a whole platoon.
Yeah, you have no idea. Or even just him being a black man in the 1960s would probably be traumatic. So he just has all these events that have led up to this. It could have been any of them. It could have been all of them as a whole.
Could have been none of it.
So Dr. Simon was very skeptical of UFOs, but he did agree to work with Barney. His belief that what Barney had going on was psychological. The couple then went to their initial interview with Dr. Simon. The couple recounted everything that happened and were so insistent and emotionally invested in the story, Dr. Simon decided it would be best to see both Barney and Betty for treatment. So they both were so passionate and so emotional about everything. Originally, he only agreed to take on Barney, but after meeting with both of them, he's like, no, I need to talk to both of them. Betty agreed at this time. Dr. Simon was a leading neuropsychiatrist. He made a name for himself for many things, but one of the main things was treatment using hypnosis.
I'm done crunching.
Okay. I cannot stand crunching, guys, and he just crunched an ice cube for a solid 3 seconds.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
He's lying. Anyways, where were we? He warned the Hills that what they have seen of hypnosis in movies or shows was very different to what he does. Dr. Simon was a pioneer in using hypnosis and treating PTSD in soldiers that returned home from World War II. He even compared the signs and symptoms that Barney had to those soldiers that returned.
Now they're doing different types of stuff for PTSD, like micro-dosing mushrooms, ketamine therapy, like all kinds of crazy different. Ketamine's like a horse tranquilizer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. But yeah, they're using all kinds of crazy new tactics for PTSD, for stuff like that, and people with anxiety disorders as well.
Yeah.
And so far, it seems to have done a pretty good job of managing the problems. There's some pretty significant evidence anyway that's pointing in the right direction, which is kind of neat.
Well, he thought this could help Barney and Betty process whatever it was that they had happened or were going through. In February 1964, a 3-week period of extreme hypnosis sessions began. He put the couple into 2 soundproof rooms so they could not influence one another. They were great candidates. They could fall into a deep trance-like state. In the earlier sessions, they talked about the trip to Niagara Falls. Barney mentioned his wariness of going to an area that didn't have a lot of civil rights at the time. Basically, they just covered the trip there. The second session was more about what happened while they were at Niagara Falls. It is worth mentioning that their stories were very similar, but they did have a few discrepancies.
You've also got 2 separate points of view as well. So
yes.
That would kind of make it a little bit different.
Yes. And I kind of mentioned that here. During part of the trip, the Hills became lost while traveling. Nothing major, but according to Betty, they became lost after mishearing the directions they received, while Barney said it was due to reading the map wrong. So they both agreed they got lost, but the recollection of what led up to that are 2 different.
They were blaming each other for
yeah, exactly. She's like, he didn't listen to the directions. And he's like, she did not read the map right.
Exactly.
There were other small details like that. Everyone's memories are impacted on their own perception. For instance, the trip for Barney was very stressful for him due to the concerns about how an interracial couple would be received. Betty was more stressed about reaching their destination and just the normal stresses that come with travel. So again, it's just there.
You are when it comes to traveling. If it doesn't go by your itinerary, all hell's breaking loose.
So we're a family of bundled up anxiety. But what makes it complicated is we handle it very differently. I am very controlling. I'm very schedule oriented. If anything goes off the schedule, I freak out. Where Josh, it's the opposite. He cannot stand a schedule.
I thrive in chaos.
So trying to meet us in the middle is very tricky, very difficult. And it has taken 20 years to understand that I like schedules and I need to keep a schedule where he don't. And so it's very hard to
I can just do whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
And let me tell you, when he worked out of town, it was the 1 week on and 1 week off, and I would have the kids' schedule. We were on a tight schedule. They had bedtimes, and it was wonderful. And then he would come home, and it would go completely out the window.
Yep.
Drove me nuts.
Yep.
Drove me nuts. But we figured it out.
I missed all that time with you guys. I had to make it up.
And you messed up my schedule.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We survived.
We did survive. Barely.
It was tough. Again, all about personal experience and perception. The reason why Dr. Simon took this approach and wanted to cover the trip before and during is to help build a baseline for the couple. So just like with the lie detector test, they're just trying to build that baseline when they're talking to them. They then dove into the actual encounter. Both Betty and Barney described it the same way that they had all the other times. While under hypnosis, Barney said once they seen the craft, he was hoping to come across traffic. When he got to the part where they were approaching Indian Head with the big curve, Barney became very emotional and distressed. He then started asking to be woken up. Dr. Simon tried to calm him down, telling him he was safe in the office, nothing could hurt him. Barney then said, "It is right over my head. God, what is it? I tried to make control so Betty can't tell I'm scared. God, I'm scared. Barney then began screaming uncontrollably and took several minutes to calm down before they could proceed with the session. And I have a little video clip. Do you want me to play it for you again, or
Yes.
let me just stitch it in? Yeah? Or yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Nice wink.
He's already heard it, so we're just gonna stitch it in right here. So here's the video.
God, give me strength. I gotta get away. Oh, Betty. All right. We gotta get away, Betty. All right. Calm down. I'm driving. I gotta get away. How could you be sure he was telling you this? Calm down. You're still asleep.
So after that, they continued with the session, and Barney would say, "This is ridiculous. Oh, it's huge. Oh my God, I can see it. It's there. There are lights. Oh geez, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. It's huge.
That's what she said.
There are people there, and they are looking at me." That's not funny, Josh. He said, "Oh God, help me. If there is a God, help me. I'm coming closer. I'm coming closer."
Wow, it's not getting any
It's
better.
not getting any better. He said, "There's a man up there, and he is not going to let me go away."
Boy, this is getting rough.
It's getting worse. Oh, it's big. 80 feet.
Oh my God.
Stop. Okay. 2 red lights on the side of it. It's like a pancake. It looks, I'm not gonna say it. I don't believe flying saucers are. I'm not gonna say it. I don't ever want to say that word again. He was panicking, but he was able to compose himself and enough to describe what happened next. And here is a video of him recalling what they looked like.
Did he have on a uniform? Yes. What kind of uniform? It was black. He had a black scarf around his neck, dangling over his left shoulder. You pointed it out as if it were on you. I never noticed that before. He had a black scarf on his neck. How could you see these figures so clearly at that distance? I was looking at it with binoculars. Oh. Did they have faces like other people? You say one reminded you of a red-headed Irishman. His eyes were slanted. I see it so. His eyes were slanted. But not like a Chinese. What was Betty doing all this time? I'm not close to her. I don't know. You're out there by yourself now? You don't think of her. Is she saying anything? I can't hear her. Did you make any outcry to her, the way you did to me? I can't remember. I don't know. I did not. You would remember it if you did. I did not. I know this creature, this leader is telling me something. He's telling you something. How? How is he getting it to you? I can see it in his face. Do you see his lips move? Yes. No, his lips aren't moving. Yes, go on. He's telling you. And he's looking at me. What did he tell you? Stay there and keep looking. Just keep looking and stay there. And just keep looking. Just keep looking. Could you?
And that video is crazy, guys.
Yeah, it's hearing the emotion in his voice and him recalling everything.
You can feel his emotion.
It is it's one thing to talk about it and what he said, it's another to listen. So if you have time, obviously I added a few small clips. If you have time, there are hours and hours and hours of their sessions. Go listen. It is so worth it.
Yeah,
It
very compelling.
gives me chills, but just, yeah, like he said, it's just one thing to talk about it, and it's another hearing it coming directly from them.
Mm-hmm. Just that raw emotion that you get from them whenever they're talking about it. And
yeah.
It's crazy.
Very crazy.
That it affected them to that point. But then again, I could imagine how that would make somebody feel seeing something to that extent.
Exactly. Well, in the next session, he explained they were trying to get away from the UFO and made an unfamiliar turn. They encountered a roadblock. There was a burning red ball in the middle of the road. He felt uncomfortable, but the eyes of the men told him to be calm and relax. Which I think in one of the sessions, he was like, at first, he's like, what do they want from me? I don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
I have no money to give them. They can't rob me. I have nothing. So at first, I think he was just trying to justify why these men are standing in the road. And to him, there was no other logical explanation than they're fixing to rob me.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's like 31.
Oh, Lord. The men started coming towards him, and in Betty's session, her account was very similar to Barney's. And to the dreams and visions she had been having, she said she's seen the men leave the craft, take Barney, lead him onto the craft. She said that Barney looked like he was under some type of control. They then come back to get her, and the men opened her car door for her, and they led her towards the craft. As they approached the door, Betty began fighting back. Betty began fighting the men, not wanting to go onto the craft. The men had grabbed her and led her on. She mentioned the dress that she had been wearing ended up with a tear in the lining, which, if you remember, her dress had a tear in it.
There was also other evidence, wasn't there?
There was something about a pink powder. I didn't include it because I couldn't find a whole lot of information on it, but supposedly they found a pink powder on her dress and they ended up testing it.
I heard something about a fluid also. Some type of fluid.
I didn't see anything about fluid.
I did, but I can't remember what source that was.
We'd have to go back and look.
It might have been on the Discovery one that I watched.
Yeah. Well, they found this pink powder and possibly a fluid, and when they tested it, I can't remember what the results were. They couldn't tell what it was. Yeah, they couldn't tell what it was, but it's definitely weird. They then took Betty into an examination room that resembled a hospital with a table. She said it wasn't very big, like just a little, like the size of a desk, basically. They removed Betty's clothes. They had her lay on the table and they started examining her body. She was turned over and she was probed. We'll just leave it at that. She was probed. They then took other samples from Betty. She could hear the men almost humming in a low tone. She believed that's how they were communicating. Barney also mentioned the men humming, but he witnessed some of their mouths opening when they were trying to communicate. Barney also recalls being examined, poked, and prodded. He also said he felt something. He also said he felt something being placed over his genitals. He said it felt like his parts were in a solution of some sort that was thicker, like a thicker substance, thicker than just like regular liquid. They then took samples of every orifice of his body, and then Betty said the final exam they did on her, they put a giant needle into her belly button, and here is a video of Betty recalling of them doing that.
Hi, let's see, he brings over this, how can I describe it? They're like needles. There's a whole cluster of needles, and each needle has a wire running from it. So then they roll me over on my back. And the examiner has a long needle in his hand. And I see the needle. And It's bigger than any needle I've ever seen. And I asked him what he's going to do with it. And he said just a simple test to hold me. And I asked him what. And he said he just wants to put it in my navel. And it's just a simple test. And I don't know it will hurt. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he said, no, it won't hurt. And he sticks a needle into my navel. And said, and I'm crying, and I tell him it's hurting, it's hurting, it's hurting, take it out. And then the leader, he goes over and he puts his hand, runs his hand in front of my eyes. And he says, I'll be all right. I won't feel it. And all the pain goes away.
But again, the emotion in her voice when she's talking about it, and it's crazy because when you listen to it, you can hear how scared and upset she is. But when she starts talking about the alien putting his hand over her head, saying it's okay, it's not going to hurt, like she immediately starts calming down. It was crazy. She then asked if they were able to go back to the car, but the leader told Betty that they were still running a few tests on Barney and they were not done yet. She recalled there was a doctor that was doing the test and then the leader. The doctor left the room and it was just her and the leader left in there. They talked a little bit. She said she was no longer afraid at this point. She said this was unbelievable and she wished she had proof of what happened to take back with her. And the leader asked, what kind of proof would you want? And she said if they can give her something to take back with her, the people would believe her story. He told her to look around, find something that she might want to take. Betty spotted a book and asked if she could take it. The leader laughed and asked if she thought she could read it. She laughed back and said she wouldn't take it to read. It was just going to be her proof of the encounter. Which we kind of talked about this before. It's almost like a doctor with a child. The way he talks to her.
That's
and
what
the
it
way
feels like to me, too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe that was to kind of keep the trauma to a certain point, or if maybe they feel that our intelligence is so inferior to theirs
it's like, oh,
that...
you cute little thing, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Yeah, it's just very odd how... And to me, which we'll get into it in a minute, the leader almost seems more... like he has more humanity than the other ones. Like, he's like, yeah, you can take something with you for proof. Sure, go ahead. And here, I mean, we'll get into it, but they don't let her keep it. And the other ones are, like, mad at him for letting her do that. So it's almost like he has more humanity than the others.
Unless he's just manipulating the situation for the time being.
Maybe. And then blaming it on
them later, kind of like we do the kids when one of us...
I do it at work. When I have customers call me and they're like upset, I'm like, sorry, it's corporate's call. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
The leader said she could have it if she wanted it. The leader then opened up a spot on the wall and pulled down a map. He asked her if she had seen a map like that before. Betty looked at it and it looked to be an oblong-shaped map. He told her that the heavy lines were trade routes. The other lines were places that they went to occasionally. And then the dashed lines were exhibitions they've gone on.
Explorations, I believe, is what it was supposed to be.
Explorations?
Yeah. Those were exploration routes is what I heard.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just typed it wrong.
Maybe so. But, I mean, expedition, exploration.
Same thing.
Basically the same thing.
Thanks for calling me out.
We've had a lot of mistakes in there. It took us 4 times to find them all.
All right. So he asked her where she was on the map, and Betty laughed and said, I don't know. He said, well, if you don't know where you are, there wouldn't be any point of me telling you where I am. Which makes sense. So he rolled up the map, he closed the spot on the wall, and Betty said it almost made her feel stupid for not knowing. Again, almost childlike. She asked if he could just show her where the Earth was on the map, and he just laughed. She looked at the book again, and then there was a noise and like some commotion, and all the other men came in with the examiner. And they're kind of like talking, humming back and forth. And she asked the leader, is Barney okay? She thought something happened to Barney. And the examiner told her, open your mouth. And they started looking and like pulling on her teeth and like wiggling her teeth around. And the leader said, they can't figure out why, but Barney's teeth came out and yours didn't. And Betty laughed and said, Barney has dentures and I don't.
It's funny that she still has her sense of humor.
And even in,
throughout parts of this.
even in the session, like she's like, you hear her giggle. She's like, what are you talking about? He's got dentures. So she explained why some people have dentures, some don't. They talked more, and Betty said that there were other people that could answer her questions way better than what she could. And she mentioned maybe they should arrange a meeting. The leader said that it's not his call to make, and Betty asked, well, how would they find her to make it happen if they agreed to it? And she's like, I don't live around here. How would you make that happen? And he said, don't worry. We always find the ones we want to find. That's creepy.
It's very creepy.
Barney comes back to them, and his eyes are still closed. The leader started to lead them back to the car, and they are getting ready to walk down the ramp, and some of the other men are talking, and they seem, again, a lot of commotion, almost seem upset. The leader then comes back to Betty, and he takes the book. She said she was furious. She was so mad. She told him that you promised me I could have that book. That was my proof. He said, I know, but the others have decided that you can't have the book. She said, that's my proof. He said, that's the point. They don't want you to remember what happened, which again is spooky. The leader ends up leading them back to the car, and that is when they kind of start coming back to, and that's when that's about the point where they start remembering, oh, we've seen a roadblock, and now we're wake up in my car, and they start driving home. So they end up driving home. Dr. Simon made it very clear that he did not have an interest in UFOs. He just wanted to help Barney with his stress symptoms. They continued seeing Dr. Simon for I almost fucked up and said Dr. Seaman. They continued seeing Dr. Simon a year after the sessions ended and kept in touch for the preceding years. Dr. Simon would later say that it must be understood that hypnosis is the pathway to the truth as it is felt and understood by the patient. The truth is what he believes to be the truth, and this may or may not be consistent with the ultimate non-personal truth. Dr. Simon said that the transcripts are true, their emotions were true, and they were kept in separate rooms during the session. To them, it's true. They are not deceiving us, and this is very much their truth. So to me, that's like him saying, I don't know if they were abducted, but what they're feeling and what they think they experienced is very true to them. In November of 1963, Betty and Barney were invited to share their story at a private event with a UFO study group. She didn't know that a reporter for the Boston paper was in the audience that night, and he ended up recording the entire thing. He was not supposed to be there. He was not invited. He basically snuck in. 2 years later, that same reporter was reporting on another incident known as the Exeter incident. He reached out to the Hills wanting to include their story along with this one. They wanted to remain anonymous and declined to speak with him. They asked him, please do not include them in the story. The reporter published an article on October 25th, 1965, and he referenced the Hills encounter and frequently quoted Betty Hill's experience that she shared with a private group. So he completely went against their wishes and published it anyways with them. Shady.
Mm-hmm.
Betty had only told her sister and a few close friends about the incident, other than the government agencies that they were working with. The article caused a bunch of calls to flood the Hills, and when Betty went to work the next day, her building was completely covered by reporters. People began approaching the couple in public, and their phone just kept ringing off the hook at home. Betty and Barney were concerned this is going to overshadow all the work they had done in the civil rights community. They had no choice but to try and get in front of it. they decided that to have control over this and have control over their own experience, they need to speak on it. So on November 30th, 1965, they held their own event at the Garrison Inn. There was a crowd of over 600 people. Betty began the event by giving a brief speech about the overview of UFO sightings. She touched on how many UFO sightings there were and the history of them. They then told their story about what happened, and the audience began asking questions, and it was really, everything was well received. Like, she was very happy with the way it went. In the following years, their experience was turned into a book and a movie, and on February 5th of 1969, Barney passed away at the age of 46 from a cerebral hemorrhage, which is crazy that he passed away from that. He was having all these headaches and all these, just kind of makes you wonder, did that cause everything that happened, or did everything that happened cause that?
It's very possible that it was stress induced. So it very well could have been all of the things that had happened in his life that caused that.
Yeah. It's just very sad. They didn't get very long together.
Then again, it could have just been high blood pressure.
You would know. Just a month before that, Betty had lost her father, and soon after Barney passed, their beloved dog passed away as well. Betty was absolutely devastated with all the loss she had experienced. Betty basically threw herself into investigating UFOs. And then on October 17th, 2004, Betty passed away from cancer at 85 years old, and she still lived in the same house that she bought back for $1. And that's the Betty and Barney Hill.
That's a good story.
It's
a really good story.
It is a good one.
There's a lot of things that we weren't able to put in there that maybe we can
revisit later. Part 2, yeah.
Or even just maybe make some honorable mentions in another.
Or even like a mini-sode. So we could do like mini-sodes and just pick a story that we've already covered and just kind of talk about all the stuff we couldn't cover and all the different theories. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories out there. A lot of things that we could do. Like you mentioned, the Exeter one as well.
Yeah.
That would be one that we could cover. Multiple sightings in multiple different countries that we can cover. Just an astronomical amount of things that have been seen and reported. And they just seem to just go away.
And so many of the small stories, like so many are so short, we couldn't make a full episode out of it, but we could kind of combine them all and make one.
That would be interesting to try and figure out something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, tell us what we need to do. What do you think? So do you think they were abducted? Do you think it was psychological?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think you are very naive if you think we are the only living creatures.
I think so too. There's billions of stars and galaxies and just things that we probably can't even imagine that are out there. Who's to say that we're the only type of life form? There could be multiple others. This specific story, I believe somebody said was the gray aliens.
Oh yeah, you didn't include your map.
So you actually forgot to mention the map. I think you skipped over that.
I read about the map, and she was asking, like, he told her, well, how am I supposed to tell you where you're at if you don't know where you're at?
Oh, that's right. You did. I missed it.
Try again. Call me out again.
I'm sorry.
Tell us about your gray men.
Anyway, the gray men supposedly come from a star system or a star named Zeta Reticuli. There's several other people that mention this specific area, but this map that she was shown, she redrew it from memory. And at first, nobody believed her. They thought it was just random dots on a page and lines.
They couldn't line it up with anything.
Yeah, well, they didn't really have the capability to do that yet. But nearly a decade later, there was a scientist.
It was more than a decade, because that happened in the early 1960s, and I want to say it was like the early 1990s that she was able to match it up.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was several decades then. I don't know. But it was later on. Later on, someone, a scientist, astrophysicist, whoever was looking into this, found a star system that matched her drawing nearly identically.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference that they found was that it almost looked as if the map was drawn from the opposite end.
Mm-hmm. So almost like a mirror image.
Almost like a mirror image, like they were looking from whatever planet they were on and drawing the map, kind of like we would do from Earth.
Yeah.
Which to me blows my mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That alone is insane.
And to me, that even solidifies more that she's going off of memory rather, like she drew off from her memory of what happened rather than like memorizing it in a book, because it's mirrored. It's like you said, it's like them looking at us.
Right. And they could accuse her of drawing that map from other books, specifically the book that you had mentioned earlier.
Flying saucers are real or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. But I don't think that's actually in that book. But to me, it's insane that she could do that. Nobody had any evidence of that before, and then all of a sudden they find it, which to me is insane. And then there's multiple other things that just lead to some crazy out of here stories. There's a moth in here, guys.
He was in here last time Seth and I recorded too.
Yeah.
He was attacking me.
I don't know if it's the same one.
We're gonna
I don't know
pretend
how long they live.
it's Frederick.
Yeah.
Frederick the Moth.
He's our friend.
Oh, really?
Who's right behind your chair. But yeah, there's multiple other stories that we need to visit. Specifically, I think we need to try and cover Bob Lazar.
Yes, he is an interesting.
That's a very, very, very cool story that he has.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't heard of him, his story is basically about how he was a scientist that was assigned by Area 51 to look into flying saucers that the government currently had in their possession. But we'll have to tell that story later, because there is a lot of detail on that one that's just insane.
It'd be a good episode.
That'll be a really good episode. And if y'all are curious about it, there's a really good episode with him and Joe Rogan.
I think you should cover that one. I think you should do the research and cover Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I may do that. I may try to do that.
Do I need to give you a date? Like, it has to be done by this date? Because you said that last time.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still waiting.
You're still waiting. This is that you having a schedule and me just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, but I get stuff done and you don't.
If I have a deadline, I get it done.
I know, that's why I said we need a date that it needs to be done. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for tonight. We got to get up. It's the first Monday back after vacation, so it's going to be rough. And then the kids go to school in a couple of days, so pray for me. Pray for the moms. Pray for the teachers. Pray for the kids.
Specifically the teachers.
So, yeah, I don't know how y'all do it.
I don't either. Shout out to you teachers.
Kudos to y'all. I do enjoy the summer and having the kids home, but then I do kind of get excited when they go back to school.
Same.
Again, it's a schedule then. When they're at home for the summer, there is no schedule. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they're making ramen noodles and singing.
Let's be real. There's always a schedule with you. We've always got practices. We've always got other things to do. You've always got some kind of schedule, even when we don't have to have one.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
It's been real. I hope you've stuck around this long. I guess until next week.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Like, share, subscribe, rate. Send us your recommendations.
Yep.
Our email is theguiltyandtheghostlypodcast@gmail.com. I'll put it on the screen in case you need that. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram. I try to put our LinkedIn everywhere. Or not LinkedIn. Linktree. LinkedIn something else. Yeah, Linktree. That way you can have access to everything, and we really appreciate it. We see everything growing, and we're excited to see where it goes. Maybe some more aliens.
Definitely more aliens.
Oh, you need to show me your shirt. I don't know if you can see it very good.
You can't probably see it very good, but there are 2 spaceships chasing Bigfoot.
Very on brand.
All
right. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Abduct you later.
Bye.